When most people think of surviving the cold during World War II, images of soldiers huddled under thin wool blankets or layering whatever clothing they could scavenge come to mind. Yet behind the front lines and even on frost-bitten battlefields, soldiers developed practical, low-tech methods to stay warm, techniques that outperformed the heavy, expensive sleeping bags of the era. These tricks weren't gimmicks. They were lifesavers, honed through necessity and experience, and they offer lessons that remain relevant for modern campers, survivalists, and anyone facing extreme cold. Understanding the challenge of winter warfare. Winter combat was brutal. The Battle of the Bulge in 1944 is one of the most famous examples, where temperatures dropped below freezing and troops lacked sufficient winter gear. Frostbite, hypothermia, and exhaustion were real threats. Supply chains couldn't always keep pace, and soldiers had to improvise. Standard issue blankets or sleeping bags, while theoretically adequate, often failed in practice. They were bulky, slow to dry, and poorly insulated against wind and damp conditions. Soldiers quickly realized that survival depended on technique as much as equipment. The layered clothing principle wasn't just common sense. Soldiers learned that multiple thin layers worked better than one thick garment. This approach trapped pockets of warm air between layers, creating insulation that adjusted with movement and allowed moisture to escape. Modern sleeping bags rely on this principle too, but many contemporary users underestimate its effectiveness outside the tent. World War II soldiers layered wool shirts, long johns, scarves, and mittens, understanding that each layer contributed to overall warmth. The lesson is simple. When it comes to cold weather, layering materials that retain heat while wicking moisture can outperform many modern single-piece solutions. Improvised insulation using natural materials. One of the most effective World War II tricks involved using what the environment provided. Soldiers stuffed straw, pine needles, or leaves into their clothing, boots, or blankets. This created natural insulation that conformed to the body, trapped heat, and was surprisingly effective. Some soldiers even used newspaper or cloth scraps when other options were unavailable. These materials were light, easy to replace, and could be adapted to different parts of the body. For modern survivalists, this demonstrates that understanding local resources and creatively applying them can solve problems that high-tech gear cannot. Creating body heat retention zones. Another method involved focusing on keeping extremities warm, which conserves overall body heat. Soldiers would bundle socks, mittens, and scarves to insulate hands and feet, and even place small packs of natural insulation around critical areas like the torso. They understood that a frozen extremity could rapidly lead to hypothermia, no matter how warm the rest of the body was. Modern cold-weather campers can apply the same strategy, using layered insulation in sleeping bags or clothing to protect vulnerable points first, dramatically improving comfort and safety. Shelter improvisation amplified warmth. Beyond clothing, soldiers knew that protecting themselves from wind, snow, and dampness made more difference than the thickness of a blanket. Small foxholes, snow caves, or improvised lean-tos allowed troops to trap body heat and reduce heat loss. Lining shelters with straw, pine boughs, or even extra clothing created a thermal buffer. World War II soldiers who mastered these techniques stayed warmer, longer, and with less energy expenditure than those who relied solely on issued sleeping gear. Modern survival enthusiasts can take the same approach by prioritizing windbreaks, ground insulation, and layered shelters over just buying heavier sleeping bags. Heat conservation through group strategies. In many military units, soldiers would sleep in groups or huddle together, sharing body heat in addition to individual insulation. This simple communal strategy reduced overall energy loss and allowed for better endurance in prolonged exposure. Even today, sharing heat with close companions or pets in emergency situations can supplement other insulation techniques effectively. World War II soldiers understood that survival depended on cooperation as much as individual gear. the modern application of World War II tricks. What makes these World War II methods remarkable is, honestly, their timelessness. While sleeping bags have improved in materials and design, they still cannot replace awareness, preparation, and adaptability. Understanding layering, using natural insulation, prioritizing extremities, building proper shelters, and leveraging shared heat are all methods that anyone today can implement without expensive equipment. For hikers, campers, or survivalists, these principles really provide a fail-safe backup when gear fails or conditions exceed expectations. Lessons beyond the battlefield. World War II. Cold weather strategies also teach broader survival lessons. Resourcefulness, observation, and adaptation are often more important than tools themselves. Soldiers survived because they understood how the environment interacted with the human body and used simple, repeatable methods to mitigate risk. Modern enthusiasts often focus too heavily on gear and neglect the skill set that truly determines survival. Conclusion. The lesson is clear. Staying warm isn't just about buying the newest sleeping bag or thickest blanket. History shows that layered clothing, natural insulation, shelter optimization, and group strategies often outperform high-tech gear, especially under extreme conditions. World War II soldiers didn't have the luxury of modern innovations, yet their tricks saved lives. By studying these methods and applying them today, anyone can gain an edge against cold weather, whether on a camping trip in a winter emergency or simply seeking comfort during harsh nights. By understanding and applying these timeless strategies, we honor the ingenuity of World War II soldiers while equipping ourselves with practical, real-world survival skills that remain relevant today. Subscribe to Strange History for more deep dives into the forgotten skills, tactics, and survival strategies that shaped history and continue to offer life-saving lessons for modern viewers. Share this episode with friends and family who value practical, historically grounded survival knowledge.